ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, titled Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. And today's verse is verse number 3. Tyajyam dosavad iti eka
त्याज्यं दोषवती एके
karma prahurmanisina
कर्म प्राहु मनीषिणः
yagyadana tapa karma
यज्ञदान तप कर्म
na tyajyam iti chapare.
न त्याज्यम इति चापरे।
Tyajyam dosavat iki eke
त्याज्यम दोषवती तेके
karma prahurmanishina
कर्म प्राहु मनीषिणः
यज्ञदान तप कर्म
यज्ञदान तप कर्म
न त्याज्यम इति चापरे।
न त्याज्यम इति चापरे।
त्याज्यम दोषवत इति एक
त्याज्यम दोषवती एके
कर्म प्राहुर्मनीषिणा
कर्म प्राहु मनीषिणः
यज्ञदान तप कर्म
यज्ञदान तप कर्म
न त्याज्यम इति चापरे।
न त्याज्यम इति चापरे।
यानी प्रभु जी और माता जी,
त्याज्यम दोषवती एके
त्याज्यम दोषवत इति एके
कर्म प्राहुर्मनीषिणः
कर्म प्राहुर्मनीषिणा
यज्ञदान तप कर्म
यज्ञदान तप कर्म
न त्याज्यम इति चापरे।
न त्याजम इति चापरे। Nirajan Prabhu, you want to lead? No problem. Thank you. Word by word meaning. Tyajam must be given up.
त्याज्यम must be given up.
Dosavat as an evil.
दोषवत as an evil.
Iti thus.
इति thus.
Eke one group.
एके one group.
Karma work.
कर्म work.
Prahu they say.
प्राहु they say.
Manisina great thinkers.
मनीषिणः great thinkers.
Yajna of sacrifice.
यज्ञ of sacrifice.
Dana charity.
दान charity.
Tapa the penance.
Tapa and penance.
Karma works.
Karma work.
No never.
Na never.
Tyajam are to be given up.
Tyajam are to be given up.
Iti thus.
Iti thus.
Cha and.
Cha and.
Apare others.
Apare others.
Translation. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai.
Some learned men
Some learned men
declare that all kinds of fruitive activities
all kinds of fruitive activities
should be given up
as
faulty. Yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. Anyone would like to read the purport?
There are many activities in the Vedic literature which are subjects of contention. For instance, it is said that an animal can be killed in a sacrifice, yet some maintain that animal killing is completely abominable. Although animal killing in a sacrifice is recommended in the Vedic literature, the animal is not considered to be killed. The sacrifice is to give a new life to the animal. Sometimes the animal is given a new animal life after being killed in the sacrifice, and sometimes the animal is promoted immediately to the human form of life. But there are different opinions among the sages. Some say that animal killing should always be avoided, and others say that for a specific sacrifice it is good. All these different opinions on sacrificial activity are now being clarified by the Lord Himself.
Thank you very much. We'll offer the pranam mantra. Om Ajnana-timirandasya
Iritasya Nanjana
Jnananjana-shalakaya
Salakaya
Chakshurmilitam Yena
Chakshurtamena
Tasmai Sri
Sri
Gurave
Gurave
Namah
Nama
Sri
Sri
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Manobhishtam
Manobhishtam
Sthapitam Yena
Pitam Ena
Bhutale
Bhutale
Swayam Rupa
Swayam
Kada
Rupa
Mahyam
Mahyam
Dadati
Dadati
Swapadantikam
Swapadantikam
Vandeham Shri
Vandeham
Guru
Sri
Shri
Guru
Utpadakamalam
Srikamalam
Shri Guru
Sri Guru
Vaishnavamsha
Vaishnavansha
Shri
Sri
Rupam
Rupam
Sagrajatam
Sagradatam
Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam
Ganagunatanvitam Tam
Sajivam
Sajivam
Sadvitam
Sadhutam
Savadhutam
Savadhutam
Parijana Sahitam
Saitam
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Devam
Devam
Sri
Sri Radha
Radha Krishna
Krishna
Balaram
Pradam
Sahagana Lalita
Lalita
Shri
Sri
Vishakha Vitam Sha
Anitanta
He
He
Krishna
Krishna
Karuna
Karana
Sindhu
Sindhu
Deenabandhu
Nandu
Jagatpate
Jagatpade
Gopesha Gopika Kanta
Kanta
Radha Kanta
Anta
Namostute
Namostute
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi
Rangi
Radhe
Ade
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrindavaneshwari
Shavanosute
Manusute
Devi
Devi
Pranamami
Pranamami
Hari
Hari
Priye
Priye
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Sarvatarubhyacha
Kripa
Upasindhu
Sindhubhayavacha Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
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 Namah
Jai Shri
Jai Shri
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadhara
Gadadhara
Shrivash Adi
Srivastadi
Gaura
Gaur
Bhakta Vrinda
Bhaktavinda
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
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 Hare Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama
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 Hare
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 Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyang Jagannathaya Te Namo. Thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha. So, in the last verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is speaking. He has started speaking, Bhagavan Uvacha. So, in this verse, Lord is giving a very beautiful concept wherein he is bringing two philosophies. The first two sentences, Tyajyam dosa vat iti eke karma prahur manasinam. That means he's saying great thinkers of one follower, actually of the Kapila Dev philosophy, they say that during the renunciation, as you know, renunciation of two kinds. Renunciation consists of three underlying things: yajna, dana, tapa. We discussed about it, right? Sacrifice, charity, austerity. So, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying, Tyajam dosavat ete eka karma prahur manashan. That means one set of philosophies, which is the Kapila Dev's Sankhya philosophy, they say give up all fruitive activities. Karma. Karma means sakama. You know, we talked about three karma, right? You know, uh, karma, vikarma, and akarma. Karma,
Hmm.
vikarma, akarma. And the karma is nothing but sakarma. Vikarma is negative karma. And akarma means not without karma, it's A class karma. That's how we remember, right? So here Krishna is saying karma. Karma means fruitive activities. So one school of thought, which is Sankhya, Kapila Dev's Sankhya philosophy, they say that give up all fruitive activities as faulty because in sacrifice there is violence involved. Whenever you're doing some sacrifice, you're offering to some supreme personality, you must have seen there is animal killing. And Krishna in this verse, and Srila Prabhupada, as you spoke, the purport explains about animal sacrifice. So animal sacrifice is a sacrifice and there is violence involved. So as some portion of sacrifice involves violence, one philosophy says give everything up. Tyajam dosavat iti eka karma prahur manashinav. So one school of thought followers, they want to give up everything, give up renunciation, because give up, because sacrifice contains some element of violence. And in the third and fourth line, the second sentence, Krishna says, Yagya dana tapa karma natajam iti chapare. That means the other philosophy, which is the followers of Jamini, the Mimamsa philosophy, I mean, Mimamsa Yoga, another philosophy. Uh, that philosophy says, never give up. Krishna is saying, Krishna is quoting, because these are all very important sages. Krishna is quoting, never give up the acts of sacrifice, yajna, charity, dana, and austerity, because one incurs no sin for performing what is described in Vedas, even if it involves violence. So let's discuss that piece in the context of animal sacrifice, which is very important for our understanding as sadhakas. If we do not understand this, we will never have any clarity in our sadhana. So, after describing these two philosophies, one philosophy where it says, then give up all fruitive activities, don't do yagya dana tapa, which is some form of renunciation, because sacrifice has violence. So don't do that because it has some violence which is not prescribed by that school of thought. The other school of thought is, by doing that, no one incurs sin. By doing violence as a sacrifice to the Supreme, you do not incur sin. So there, some of the followers who end up doing animal eating, they always ask, what is harm in animal eating? Why Krishna consciousness we are telling? Because it is referred in scriptures that you can offer for the pleasure of the Supreme. So let's discuss a little bit about the concept. See, we can have a rule, okay? We can have a directive, but the directive has to be understood in the right context. So it is mentioned that you can do sacrifice for the pleasure of the Lord. That means the day, the Amavasya, or the day on which the Devi, who is a number one Vaishnavi, and Lord Shiva, who is a number one Vaishnava, that one day out of 30 days, you can offer it to them. But in the mood of offering, in that one day out of 30 days, you are staying away from meat eating for 29 days. And then when you offer that bhava. And when the offering is done, the person who is doing the offering, he knows that this old animal which is being offered is going through a very challenging situation. So he goes and utters the words, which means utters the words in the ears of the animal, saying that in this life you have become But in the next life, maybe with the paradukhe dukhi attitude, with the Vaishnava attitude of paradukhe dukhi, I become you and you become me. And some of them may get promoted to a higher uh, level of consciousness in the next life, depending on the prarabdha karma. Or they can stay there or they can go down, whatever the case may be. But the intent of animal sacrifice is trying to offer with an bhava in mind, trying to stay regulated for several days, not to feast on somebody's flesh, and is an intent to liberate that animal, and with the intent of paradukhe dukhi. So it is also mentioned that Lord Ram, he killed Maricha, and Dasratji, he used to. In Kshatriya, where Kshatriya means who doesn't let others get shati, that means doesn't get hurt,
Hurt.
who prevents other from getting hurt, is somebody who protects. So that's the intent of Kshatriya. So in Kshatriya, they used to go, and whenever an animal has killed, 10 people, and there is a request from the the subjects, he goes, Dashrathji goes, and he kills the animal to protect the other. Likewise, Lord Ram is exhibiting a Leela here. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Have you ever seen a golden deer anywhere? Never. It's a Leela of the Lord. And Lord goes out, he kills Maricha, because if the Lord doesn't go out, Mother Sita is not going to be taken away by Ravana, and the Leela is not going to manifest. And in doing that, there is several other personalities, Hanuman, Sugriv, Vali, Jatayu, Sampati, and Lord liberates all of them by this Leela. So when you get this idea that Kshatriyas were eating, and we take that feeling of feasting on animals, that understanding is purely negative. Like, say, for example, if a person who is actually a soldier, he has the right to kill when he's facing the border, when he's in bordering some country, and the other country uh, mercenaries, they come in as terrorists. This person has the right to kill them. But if the same person comes to interior, to one of the capital cities like Hyderabad or Delhi or Bhubaneswar, and start shooting, he is going to be shot. So what it means is we have to stay regulated. Regulation is the way of life as it is described in Vedic instruction. Vedic injunction about sacrifice is with an intent to offer with bhava, with an offer to liberate the animal next life, with an intent to paradukhe dukhi, and with an intent to not feast, but stay away from meat eating for 29 days. And so that's the purpose of animal sacrifice. And and whenever a soldier, uh, and that is why if you see, uh, whenever there is alcoholism, the government knows that these alcoholics can't be stay can't stay unregulated everywhere. So they have got a shop or an area or a zone where that is available. So that doesn't mean you can take it away and unleash your alcoholism on others and create mayhem. So any such thing, whether it is meat eating or alcoholism or animal sacrifice, the intent or the spirit is to stay regulated, gradually grow the sense of bhakti, liberate the animal. Because it is mentioned in the scriptures that if you cannot give life, you can take life. So it is very important for all of us to say that we can't be feasting on others' lives or others' flesh. Because if you can't create life, you can't take life. Whenever you take a fruit from a tree, the plant doesn't die. But if you feast on an animal, you have taken a soul away. And these are some of the distinct differences which makes the concept of. So as you can see on the right, I have an example for you. Whenever you have bacterial attack, the doctor gives you an antibiotics. When the antibiotics is given, it is intended to kill the bad bacteria, which is causing your sore throat or COVID or whatever the case may be. But when you take antibiotics, do you know that many good bacteria from your gut get killed? Because the antibiotics doesn't know what is good and bad. So that means too much of antibiotics creates mayhem in your body. So, but you cannot stay without antibiotics because the suffering is tremendous. So we have to understand the concept of what is written in Vedas like this. When I was reading this verse, I felt that whenever a principle is laid out, when a concept is laid out, we have to understand not with an intent to enjoy, because our default position is Jive Shurupaya Krishna. Our default position is a servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we start taking it for a ride by enjoying, the 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 the, the mayhem start happening. But so we have to understand that we have to stay regulated, whether it is done. So our discussion when it is with a group of people who want to feast on meat, we have to recognize that meat eating was not a day-to-day affair in the Vedic days. It was done with the right intent. But then people started misusing it. And now it has become a way of life and a fashion. And this killing of animals is becoming very, very sad. When the animals are killed, you can see how tears leave. So when these people take a uh, chicken for eating, their intent is not to be a chicken in the next life. So the intent of the Vedic injunction on sacrifice is often very misunderstood. So what is the right way to do things? And of course, Krishna will shed more light in the subsequent verses. That's why we're trying to take each of these verses and trying to understand. Krishna is going to group, you know, the in the next verses, he's going to give opinion about renunciation, which is a summation of yajna, dana, tapa, and Krishna will give his verdict. But these are some of the philosophies Krishna want to lay out so that we understand. So Krishna will give an opinion based on some of the followings which have happened in our Vedic scriptures. So, in order to give everybody a chance to make an informed decision, Krishna is saying, otherwise, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He could have said, this is my opinion and you follow it. But Krishna's way of responding to Arjuna is very unique. And that's why whenever we think of yajna, we should think about Sankirtan yajna. That's the yajna of the age of Kali. That is mentioned. Kalaudhat Harikirtana, it is mentioned in scriptures. Likewise, dana, as you saw, it is the karma prahur manasina. Karma means it is done with a mode of goodness. So whenever you do some dana, if that ends up becoming bad, we have all heard about King Durga's pastime, where he eventually became a lizard in the well. Well, Krishna had to recover him. We went through that pastime. But in any dana, if it is somehow eventually culminating into some form of negativity, you incur the impious credits. It goes against you. But a temple construction is done with a mode of goodness. And that's where Lord takes all the reactions out of your dana. It is mentioned in the scriptures. And that is the reason why any help to the temple. Temple means the right kind of temple, wherein the Vedic injunctions are explained so that people are more aware of the consciousness that we are not the body, we are the soul. If you stay in the confines of the body platform, you'll start eating meat and because your concept is around the bodily platform. But more and more you understand that we are not the body, we are the soul. You are understanding the Vedic consciousness in the right way. And that's where the dana should be done with the mode of goodness. And that's where Lord takes all the reactions from dana. And tapa is tapa of the mind. In the mind, you're constantly thinking about helping others. You're constantly thinking about uh, about smarana of remembering about the Supreme, and also in your vani, you're also doing tapa by doing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare
So
Hare.
you're basically constantly cleansing your vani, and that is austerity. So yagya dana tapa, very nice concept, but it has to be understood through the scriptures and not misunderstood like many other. And you'll hear so many examples around protein. We do animal eating because of protein. For protein, you can always take some pulses. You can always take paneer, or for that matter, anything which gives you protein. But there is a misunderstanding which flourishes, and the modern world, around 85%, around 80% of the world population is going in the wrong direction of eating meat and surviving on flesh nutrition, which is not
Anyway,
right, which is
later
absolutely.
the fundamental
So, so I think you have understood this beautiful verse. Every verse, once you start dissecting, you get a lot of nectar. Tyajam dosavat iti eke karma prahur manashana. So manashana means one side of thinking talks about karma, sakarma, and then there is the mistake or dosha. And yagya dana tapa karma natajam iti chapare is talks about. So beautifully, Lord Krishna is comparing both these uh, philosophies. One is following the Kapila Muni's Sankhya philosophy, the other uh, speaking about the Jamini sage
Germany.
philosophy, and it's a beautiful explanation. And Srila Prabhupada has described it so beautifully about the concepts around animal sacrifices during Vedic times. We can't apply that as is and say every day you want to eat meat. And that is exactly what the civilization is going around. They are eating meat every meal of the day in the name of nutrition, but it is so incorrect, and there is no regulation in killing. When you stay unregulated, as today you are killing an animal, tomorrow you'll kill human beings. As you're seeing, there is no sympathy, there is no empathy, and there's wars happening all the time. People have becoming cruel and cruel day by day. So we can go on and on, but I just wanted to lay the concept out around how it's a beautiful words to really go deep into, and always take an antibiotics and regulation, even if you get rid of it. But as long as you understand it, it will help us. So beautiful verse to ponder, Srila Prabhupada and the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna has given. a lot of content for us to think about. So with that, I'd like to open up for any question or comments you may have. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Any comments, Prabhuji, Mataji, as to why animal sacrifice has to be understood in the right context and it should not be compared with daily meat eating, and how we should culture our lives and start becoming conscious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His creations and have sympathy and empathy for His creations.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have never heard this perspective, Prabhuji, which you have. So at least I am now very clear of the Vedic injunctions of the sacrifice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for clarifying. It cannot be more crystal clear than this. Yeah, that the idea of sacrifice was not to basically enjoy the flesh, but to liberate. Right? That we know. But what we know is that that was for liberation, Prabhu. Definitely. But the point which you have deduced from that discussion is the not flesh is we should not eat flesh for the pleasure. That was a very highlight, Prabhuji. I really thank you so much for clarifying that, Prabhuji. Uh, um, Otherwise, if you ask people, they will say, "Oh yeah, the animal sacrifice is a Vedic injunction where we are liberating but how that liberation is being uh, with an illusion, people are taking the meat eating, the what we call as the taste of the tongue, right? The taste of the tongue, justification for the taste of the tongue. They are trying to say that in Vedas also sacrifice is there. But in Vedas, the sacrifice, as you have rightly explained, is meant for a totally different purpose, which is to liberate the soul to a next higher consciousness level, right? And that to end the suffering of the current because of its age and everything to end, so that one more point, Prabhuji, there as a function of time, that sacrifice had a potency. The people who were doing the sacrifice had a potency, Prabhuji. And that was not the age of Kali Yuga where the Vedic injunctions have written about sacrifice, right? Where the Brahmanas had the power, the mantras had the power, and the procedure had the power to liberate the animal really to the next level. Here we don't have any of those qualifications, and we don't have those potencies to mimic that in this age. So, though the Vedas are timeless, Prabhuji, but for this time, as you have rightly concluded, that they are timeless in the sense the sacrifice is timeless as Sankirtana Yagya here. Here the sacrifice is Sankirtana. Here it is not the sacrifice of killing an animal and offering it to Durga Devi. That is not that point has to be very clear, which you made it clear, but we have to clear it to the whole more mass of the people, so that this is not, people are exploiting this misnomer of that, oh, it's a Vedic injunction to have sacrifice. The Vedic injunction of the sacrifice is mainly to not to uh, basically to reduce the suffering of that soul which was there, and also to elevate the soul to a next level. But very few people will understand that. But thank you very much for explaining that and uh, underlining the concept that it is not for the flesh is not for our pleasure. The flesh is for a different. The sacrifice is for a different purpose. Prabhuji. Thank you so much for clarifying. I just want to thank you for that. I did not I did not put any point which is different than what you have told, but I wanted to reiterate that.
Yes,
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Thank you for sharing your comment. It's a very sensitive topic. There are a majority of the people in this world who are into this meat eating, but they do not understand the subtlety. And this is where Srila Prabhupada, when he was very focused in conveying the message properly, and that's the reason why Srila Prabhupada didn't withhold anything, and he explained it so beautifully. And that's the reason why when you take prasad, when you take the sanctified food, just by eating sanctified food, we get transformation. And Srila Prabhupada tried that. Initially, it was just sanctified food, and through simple kirtan and sanctified prasadam, he transformed the whole world. And and uh, and his message has to be understood properly. As long as we tell this to others and convey, because nobody wants to understand the inner workings of the Vedic culture, the intent, the spirit, and they misuse every day, and it is on the decline. It's on a big decline. A lot of people are realizing the negativity of animal eating, the changing, but there is a big craze in the world. There is animal farming going everywhere, fishy culture happening all the time, and uh, it's a tough uphill battle. But we as sadhakas should understand the truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you
Understand
so
and
much.
propagate the right meaning of that. Basically, that it is because you are what you eat, Prabhuji. You are what you eat. There is no doubt about that, right?
Exactly.
Uh, your body will accordingly transform into the based on what you are eating. That's why the proof is in the pudding, Prabhuji. Prabhupada transformed so many devotees who were addicted to all these things. He could transform because the proof is in the pudding means the prasad had the potency that to a pure devotee like Prabhupada, when he made prasadam, offered it, and he fed it to the devotees, he could raise this ISKCON, right?
Yeah.
So the it is only thing is, Prabhuji, as you told, 85% are 80 to 85% of the people are eating meat. So it is tough to convince them because they will try to give the justification of ecological balance and all everything, which is ecological balance was not the humans are not for human eating meat was never there in the ecological balance. But I don't know why they keep bringing up the topic that is for the ecology. If we don't kill chicken, there will be all chicken all around the whole world. That's the theories which we hear. I don't know. At least I heard some of these theories. Probably it is for that we have to kill and these, but which
On
is
that
not
top, right, on that topic, Prabhu, if the
Mhm.
chickens are naturally developed in the forest,
Right,
the eco cycle in the
right.
forest will take care of it. You don't need external
Exactly.
agency. Yeah,
Yeah, that is true, Prabhuji. We don't need poultry farms, basically, right?
yeah,
We don't need poultry farms, and we don't need these big farms uh, because we want to have unlimited meat. We are doing all these where we are actually technically we are not even doing the natural process of hatching there also, right, Prabhuji? The eggs and all,
yeah,
they all are manipulated. So it's all we are doing all of this just because we our sense gratification.
yeah.
Sense
And when,
gratification,
yes,
economic and economic greed
yep,
for these two reasons.
exactly. And on this slide, uh, see, you get a gallon of milk for $4. And Parijat Mataji from Gita Nagari was saying they do the processing of milk in such a way that you can't call that as milk after it is pasteurized, treated and whatnot, and that is $4. But the cruel-free milk, which is coming directly in Gita Nagari, it's $20 a gallon, which is why it is so pure. And that's the first cruel-free creamery in the United States. So whether it is uh, costly or not, but we have to recognize that unless we support this, the the true values which are in Vedic culture will not come and meet the people. Even if it is costly, we should directly or indirectly try to support the cruel-free creameries wherever. So when the cow is giving milk, he is not fearful that someday he is going to be sent to slaughterhouse, like in Gita Nagari. But in other places, there is that element of fear. And when you eat that, as you said, what we eat is what we become. And once you start taking the unregulated items, once you start taking the fear within, there is consequences. It's a very broad discussion, and Srila Prabhupada in his comment has beautifully explained. And we have to understand the nectar and spray it wherever we can in a positive way, not hurting others, but just explaining that it was not meant for enjoyment. It was regulation, which is why the sacrifices were there. But here, instead of regulation, it is just the opposite of regulation. It's a habit. Regulation is not a habit. Regulation is a way of life which is inculcated. You get up and brush your teeth, and that's exactly which is missing. And people are enjoying. There's no regulation. People are uh, eating meat on the day of Ekadasi, and there's anyway. Tomorrow is Ekadasi. Any other comments before I move off this and go into the announcements?
One more point, Prabhuji, which I am not very clear. I like to see if anyone of us have a viewpoint on it. Prabhupada, while discussing with these religious leaders, he emphasized that definitely cow should not be killed because cow is our mother. But sometimes he quoted that lower animals can be eaten in. So that point I didn't understand, Prabhuji. What was the definitely Prabhupada has said means there is a lot of depth there. So any light on that, Prabhuji?
See, I don't know the context. See, nowadays, what is happening? Uh, you know, now we are in a discussion, right?
Right.
So now you have this YouTube shorts and Facebook flicks or whatever it is,
Mhm.
where they take a portion of it. Sometimes this can be understood out of context. So um, Srila Prabhupada spoke about 8.4 million species. This many are aquatics, this many are quadruplets, and so on. So the conscious level is definitely different. But I don't know whether he said that. But one thing Srila Prabhupada said is, if you can't give life, you have no right to take life. So, eh, so to a question where he may be among a lot of new uh, entrants to
Era.
our Krishna conscious movements,
Mm.
um, Srila Prabhupada may have spoken about the importance of Gomata.
Right.
Gomata's cow dung is helpful, urine is helpful, everything is helpful of Gomata. Now, when you touch the saliva of Gomata when he's feeding, that really cures a lot of ailments in you. So there is that. So whenever a kid is born, the first thing he or she gets is a cow's milk. So that's our first life lesson. And how can you? So in that context, Srila Prabhupada might have given a higher pedestal to Gomata, who is like our mother. But
Mhm.
Srila Prabhupada has also mentioned that if life comes from life, if you can't give life, you have no right to take life. Okay, Prabhu?
Yes, that's a very that is a very valid point you have. told, if you can't give life, don't take life. That is a very valid thing, Prabhuji. All this ecological balance and life cycle, all that goes for a toss. Yeah. A tiger eating because that we should not compare to tigers, because we are not tigers. We are human beings. We have consciousness. We can prepare. We can grow
Exactly.
food and eat. We can grow food and eat, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Just because we are lazy and greedy, we are not doing that. But
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you, Prabhu. Any other
thank you.
comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry Prabhuji, I joined late today. So Prabhuji, thank you so much for the wonderful class. I have a point. I mean, still, if you see in not here, like in India, like there are, people do some kind of sacrifice in the name of goddess, like, Kali and Durga, right? Like during this time, they will first, they kill the animal. They say that it's already offered to God, and then people will take those meat after, offered to the Durga Devi or Kali or maybe. I mean, what's your point on that, Prabhuji? They say that, it's already offered to Durga Devi or Kali, so after that you can, accept it, okay, because God is already accepted.
Yes. So we have to understand, Prabhu, uh, Mother Kali is a mother, and Mother Durga is a mother, and she is with Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava. In any scriptural reference, have we ever seen or heard Mother Durga or Lord Shiva feasting on flesh? He may be having. See, he epitomizes the tamogun, and he has to exhibit a pastime as he is one of the uh, gunavatars. But have we ever seen a mother ever thinking about eating the flesh of everybody for that matter is a child of Mother Durga? So these are devotees who are devotees during Kali Puja, during Durga Puja. They have definitely not understood the Vedic injunctions properly, which is why that's the reason why in many Durga Pujas I've been going to Durga Pujas. We have a Durga Puja in our maternal family. We give this big, it has inside, it is white, um, pumpkins as sacrifices. So this flesh sacrifice in many places is illegal. In India also, if you end up doing a sacrifice, there are many places cops will take you to jail. And in many places, sacrifice is the intent to offer something which you can cut. And the white pumpkins I'm referring to, Prabhu, is offered in Durga Puja as a sacrifice, not goat or this or that or that. So, the people who are doing that, they are promoted, or rather they are following of the process laid by some gurus or some leaders. And we are not here to defy them and say, but we can only tell them what is written in Bhagavad Gita, which you read today. We can only talk about the Vedic. And as they hear the facts, the darkness will clear the knowledge in the minds of these devotees. And someday, once upon a time, it was rampant. Now it has come down. As you mentioned, is there in some parts where you have seen, but only with knowledge, the darkness which is there in the minds of the people will only get eradicated. So no mother, for that matter, will like to take offerings born out of his child's flesh. No mother, whether it's Mother Kali or Mother Durga. They are here. They live in the past time. Sometimes they live in the cremation grounds in the past times. That's why people think, the cremation grounds are the place where alcoholics land up, non-vegetarian eaters land up, and that's something which Lord Shiva and Mother Durga prefers. But actually, Lord Shiva and Mother Durga are always chanting the name of the Lord, and they are the mothers. They are our mothers. How can a mother ever think of cruel enough to think of feasting on somebody's flesh? So it doesn't go well. So what we can do is we can't be disrespectful, as our Guru Srila Prabhupada has said, never ever disrespect them. If you think it doesn't align with your consciousness and the uh, the knowledge you have gained through the Krishna conscious movements, you can just say Hari Bol and leave. That's
Hari.
the only way you could deal with them. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, nicely explained. Yeah, it clarifies my doubt. And one thing also I want to tell you that, like this last Monday I went to temple. His Holiness Lal Govindas came to temple. So Monday I went to see because his classes are really kind of charging.
Awesome.
So whenever I was kind of out of track, whenever I generally attended Lal Govind Das one lecture, maybe is a Amrinder Das one lecture that will boost up my 1 week. Actually, it goes like 1 or 2 weeks. Okay. So Prabhuji, he told one very nice point on that lecture. He told that the essence of all the Puranas, everything, right? Like all the Shastras, whatever Vedas we have, right? To remember God like 24/7. Okay, so that is the main point. Okay, so whether you read Gita or whether you read, Gita also Krishna told many times, right? Manmana Padma. Like you have to remind me 24/7. Okay. But in Kali Yuga, Prabhuji, is very difficult, to remember Krishna every time. Okay. I mean, we are involved in like lot of things, right? So he told that we have to make a relationship with Krishna. Then only we can, remember him 24/7. Okay. So without making any relationship with Krishna, right? I mean, it's too difficult. You cannot, remember him 24/7. So that's something I really touched me my eyes. Just wanted to know, Prabhuji, how, like, what kind of relation? I mean, you can make Krishna as a friend, can make Krishna. So, but how to start that process, Prabhuji? Can you give
Yeah.
some?
So Prabhu, when you talk about relationship, right, you want to be in the parampara. Relationship is a parampara based relationships. Relationship can be in mental, but what happens is sometimes when our conscious goes down, our mentality goes down, and we cannot maintain the relationship. So the first thing, you don't have to rush, but as you spend more time and you start liking it, you try to come into the parampara. Parampara means we know that Srila Prabhupada is our great grandfather, spiritual grandfather, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is our spiritual great great grandfather, and like that you have the parampara all the way to Krishna. That's how they become related to you. So Krishna is related to us. We have the heart we have the soul, and Krishna as um, Kshirodakshay Vishnu is living in our heart, but we have lost that relationship. And the way to default set that relationship is to grow, nishta, love, you know, the limbs of bhakti and stages of bhakti, and eventually align and get into the parampara. Try to get into the parampara if this is what you're trying, if you're liking, if you think you want to build a relationship over a period of time. It's not easy, but at least you know that you're related to Krishna. He's probably 500 generations ahead of me, and I'm in that parampara, and I'm the So that's a very practical way to get connected and get related. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji. And also one more point, he told me that, like he told to all of the people in devotees, like in Devaki, right? So after six child killed, right? Then Lord Balaram came, right? So without Lord Balaram, like Lord Krishna cannot become. So it's like, the six children is like, six anarthas we have, right? Like, ahankar. So these are six anarthas we have. Then once we chant continuously, all the six anarthas will be destroyed. Okay. Then we have to be we have to make one guru, and that will be like Balaram, right? Guru is the original Balaram Tattva. Okay. So once you become guru, then only your Krishna you can get Krishna. Okay. Like without Balaram came into picture, Krishna cannot be in your heart. Okay. So this is something also he told very nicely.
Perfect, perfect. So get rid of all the anarthas, as you mentioned. The 6 kids of Devki Maharani were epitomize that, and then you need a guru who can take you, and then Krishna appears in your hearts. Beautiful. And Lal Govind Prabhu is an amazing preacher, is an amazing devotee. I mean, I'm glad you made the time to get there. Hope you all got the message. If you're not getting the message of some of these top speakers who are coming to the temple, let me know. Some of you, if you want to take up that service, you can become the admin of our WhatsApp group of our Bhakti Vriksha. And I think I sent it to all of you. It's a beautiful devotee. And whenever he comes to Vrindavan or other places, he gets thousands of guests who grace the occasion. And he's such a beautiful speaker. He makes it so realistic and with his musicals and everything. So I'm glad you could make it. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's so if there's none, I can just go into the announcements. Perfect segue to what Niranjan Prabhu mentioned. The Guru Tattva, the elder brother, and the first and the foremost expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Balram, his appearance is on Wednesday evening. There is a lot of program. Lord Balram is a very favorite, popular figure in our consciousness. So don't miss that. Just have to come and be part of, do some service. It's a beautiful way to get connected, and you can also bring Rakhi, which as the protector, the devotees, the brahmanas will take those Rakhis and offer it to Balram. So always do that. That's Wednesday, this Wednesday. And the day before, there is Adivas planned, wherein they offer articles because it's the birthday of Supreme Personality of Godhead's first expansion. He's like Supreme Personality of Godhead for all practical purpose. We have Balabhadra, who is none other than Baladev, the elder brother of Lord Jagannath. There will be Abhishek of Lord Balabhadra on that day, mirror Abhishek. On on Sunday, there is extension, a day in Vraj, celebration, Krishna dress competition. You have few of kids, you can dress them like Krishna, bring it. It's very popular festival, popular event, which is the extension. But the real actually Janmashtami is on Wednesday, the 6th of September. So Balram Jayanti, Rakhi Purnima this Wednesday. Sunday, day in Vraj, in temple with Krishna Leela, Krishna dress competition, drama, devotional drama, uh, extension of Janmashtami, and we'll have around 3,000 to 5,000 devotees on Wednesday from 6 p.m. to midnight, when Lord Krishna will appear in our temple with a lot of celebration and fanfare on 6th of September. So a lot of festivities. If you have any question, comments, if you want to serve, you want to up your service level. If you can't serve, but you want to serve 3 hours a day, 3 hours for Janmashtami, and you happen to make $50 an hour, you can give out $150 to temple, because that's like giving and working 3 hours for the service of the Lord. If you can't physically and personally serve, even if you want to personally serve also, you can donate for the pleasure of the Lord. Any other comments before we end here?
Prabhuji, one last question if you have time. So Prabhuji, why our consciousness is not fixed? I mean, like, for 1 or 2 weeks is fully charged, then slowly is going down, okay. Then again, I have to make effort to again make it again up, okay. I mean, why is not like constant, throughout, why it is going up and down, why it's happening like that?
Yeah, so Prabhu, we are living in a very fluctuating, so the modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, it's controlling us, and they are not steady. We are getting attracted by something. We are getting desires, and during the 2 p.m. you have a call which becomes very uh, not up to your mark, and then you tend to become argumentative, and your focus becomes totally. So we are getting pulled by different things. We do not have a steady. We do not have the predictability of a spiritual world where everything is so wonderfully placed. So we have a conditioning, and our ability to be patient, our ability to stay connected is not 100%, and it's our conditioning. A lot of people, so conditioning is one, and around us we have a lot of moving parts which is pulling us in different direction. So wherein in the 2 weeks you mentioned you are in a mode of goodness, but after 2 weeks you tend to have some desires, and you get into passionate feeling, you get into uh, rajogun, and as you feel sleepy you become lazy, and tamogun sets in, and you want to see TV. So it's the modes which is pulling you all the directions, and that's where you need to, once we do our chanting properly, we do our devotional service properly, it stays. It's like you have this uh, lane, and when you go out of the lane, there is the alert mechanism wherein there will be your tires will make the noise, and then you'll come back. So we need some form of focus, or some form of uh, breakers in our life, when we are going down into alert your wife that you have to, she'll alert you, or you have a devotee friend who, and you attend Bhakti Vriksha regularly. So and of course, because of holidays we couldn't also do Bhakti Vriksha regularly. There is Rath Yatra and so many other things, but more and more we stay connected with association. It will help us through. Anybody else wants to add anything? Maybe it's already an hour, which is why. But Niranjan Prabhu, did that help?
Yes, Prabhuji, yeah, it has me. Thank you.
So let's end here. Maybe others will provide some comments next week. We'll end here by offering prayers at the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu vaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
namo
namo
namah.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Bhagavad Gita Granth ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki
Padaki
jai,
jai.
Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari Bol.